Hello, hi, very happy good evening. So this is Krishna and we've been talking about the story of life on earth, and that's biology. So welcome to my new beginning series. So we're going to talk about the human kidney today. So we're almost done with body fluids and circulation. So today we are moving into the next chapter, that is the excretory substance and their elimination. So today we're going to talk about the first half of that chapter, that is the structure of the human kidney. So I believe all of you have kidney. Yes, but how many where? So that is still a confusion. So today we'll talk about where we have the human kidney situated. Yeah, I know it is in the abdominal cavity. So this is towards the last thoracic vertebrae. So that is where your kidney is situated. And we have a pair of them. Selvi, yes, good evening. Okay, you're Dharni. Okay, hi Dharni. Hello, very happy good evening. So thank you so much for joining my session. So please do like, share and subscribe. Hi Gautam, so you are here, so which means you liked my yesterday's class. So thank you for joining my class today. So very happy good evening. So please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Hi Sona. So I guess you're new to my lecture. Hello and thank you so much for joining. So please do like, share and subscribe. Please lend us your support. Fine. So let's talk about this human kidney. So before we talk about the structure of the human kidney, so this is a new chapter, that is excretory substance and their elimination. So we need to understand why we need an excretory system and what is the product that we excrete and how do we excrete. So what are the organs that are associated? So we need to answer these three questions. So first, what is the process of excretion, why it is necessary, and then we need to understand what are the products that we excrete. So just like that, we do not excrete everything, right? So what are the waste products that our body is willing to excrete, and how do we know what are the supporting structures for excretion? So that is the next thing, right? So here we move, human kidney. So first let's talk about excretion and then we'll move further. So the process of eliminating unwanted substances from the body, that is excretion. But what are the excretory substances? What do we eliminate? So we urinate every day, but what do we excrete in the urine? So what are the excretory substances? So that is the next question. And how are they excreted? What are the supporting structures? For example, we have kidney in humans. So how about in other animals? So do dogs also have kidney? So how is it interpreted then? So how about fishes? How do they excrete? How about birds? How about elephants? So how do they excrete? Okay, so Gautam says, ma'am, your English is best. So thank you for the compliment, Gautam. So then we have to answer these three questions. Hi, Anuraz, a very happy good evening. So thank you for joining my lecture. So please do like, share and subscribe. So here we move forward. What are excretory substances? So ammonia, urea and uric acid are the nitrogenous waste which our body needs to be excreted. So our body would like to excrete nitrogenous waste because certain form of nitrogenous waste is toxic to our body. So our body mainly eliminates nitrogenous waste. Now, apart from that, it does not excrete anything. Well, the answer is yes, it excretes in small quantities, but the major chunk which your body excretes is the nitrogenous waste. Fine. So ammonia, urea and uric acid are the common forms of nitrogenous waste. Okay, so generally in all living organisms, these are the three nitrogenous waste which has to be excreted. So among the three, that is ammonia, urea and uric acid, your ammonia is the most toxic and it requires a lot of water for elimination. So we are terrestrial beings, so we live on a land where we are not supported by a lot of water, right? So we cannot afford to say for example to eliminate ammonia, right? Because ammonia needs a lot of water for elimination. So we as terrestrial beings cannot afford to excrete ammonia as the waste product. So that is one part. But ammonia is the most toxic and it is it requires large amounts of water for elimination. So next in line is the uric acid. So this is least toxic. So the most toxic is ammonia and the least toxic is the uric acid. Fine. So the less amount of water for elimination. So this leads the least amount of water for elimination. So ma'am, do we excrete uric acid? Not really. So we are in between, that is we excrete urea, which is neither highly toxic, which is neither least toxic. So uric acid is least toxic and it has less amount of water for elimination. So here I have a list of organisms and the type of organic or the nitrogenous waste that they excrete. So based on the nitrogenous waste that the organism excrete, they are classified into different types. For example, aminotelic. So in case of aminotelic, the excretory waste is the ammonia. So I classify organisms based on the waste material that they excrete. So one is aminotelic, that is ammonia. Fine. So examples of aminotelic include your aquatic amphibians and the insects, and excretory product includes your ammonia. So this is soluble and it is excreted by diffusion. So remember, ammonia leads a lot of water for elimination. So mostly it is in aquatic amphibians and insects. The next one is uricotelic. So uricotelic, here the waste product is urea. So terrestrial amphibians and marine fishes, so we are also uricotelic, and urea is converted in the liver and it is released into the blood, filtered and excreted through the kidney. So in our body also we have the formation of ammonia, but ammonia is converted into urea in the liver and then the urea is excreted. So we have a structure called as kidney which helps us in this process. Fine. The last one is uricotelic, when the waste product is uric acid. So you have reptiles, birds and land snails. So the uric acid in the form of pellets and paste, so that is how the birds excrete. So this is how the organisms are classified based on their excretory products. Fine. So moving further, what are the excretory structures? For example, for circulatory system, we had the heart, we had the blood vessel, then we had the blood, so we spoke about the constituents of blood. So in respiratory, so we spoke about the entire passage. So in digestion, we spoke about the passage of alimentary canal. So how about excretory structures? How about in different organisms? So when you see the first chapter in class 11, that is diversity in living organism, the number of organisms that we have are huge and the number is endless, right? So you have so many varieties of organisms that it takes millions of years to count only, let alone know the number, let alone be satisfied, but it will take huge time for us to count only, right? So animal kingdom, plant kingdom, so how do they excrete, right? So that is what I'm going to talk under excretory structure. So invertebrates have simple tubular forms, and vertebrates have complex tubular organs called as the kidney. But again, I have calculated, ma'am, we only excrete urea. We excrete urea. So urea is the major excretory product from our body. But along with it, yes, we excrete some amount of creatine. We excrete some amount of other acids. Yeah, all that is there. So all the undigested food also we excrete. But the major waste that we excrete is urea. So urea that we excrete comes out in the urine. So in a day, you pass 1 to 1.5 liters of urine, and from that 1 to 1.5 liters, so 20 to 25 grams of ureas are excreted. Okay, Gautam? Yes. So now moving, so I have tabulated the excretory structures that aid different organisms for their excretion. Fine. So protonephridia or flame cells. So the organism is Platyhelminthes or rotifers. So I guess you remember phylum Platyhelminthes, which are flatworms, right? So flatworms have flame cells or protonephridia. So by now you should know flame cells are also known as solenocytes. So this is dating back to your animal kingdom chapter. So these are present in Platyhelminthes. So Platyhelminthes are nothing but flatworms or rotifers. So ionic and fluid volume regulation, they help in maintaining the ionic and the fluid volume regulation along with the excretion process. The next one is nephridia. So nephridia is seen in earthworm. So earthworm belongs to the phylum. So they belong to the phylum Annelida. Fine. So they have fluid or ionic balance. Again, they help in the maintenance of fluid and ionic balance. So next is the Malpighian tubules. So Malpighian tubules is common in insects. So insects belong to phylum Orthopoda. So that is cockroaches, okay? So removal of nitrogenous waste and osmoregulation. So this is what is the function of Malpighian tubules. So last we have antennal glands and green glands that is present in crustaceans, example prawns. So people who consume non-vegetarian must know what are prawns. So your prawns are edible. So they come under a class known as crustaceans. So crustaceans belong to the phylum Arthropoda. Under phylum, they are a particular class. So they help in the normal excretion. So I would recommend you all to remember this because sometimes it comes in match the following. And yes, it is important because it is mentioned in your NCERT. So I'm not talking about a far off portion, but I'm talking about the point in NCERT. So you have to remember these three tabular columns. Fine? Okay. So moving further. Human excretory system. So now we are coming into the eyes of the cake, right? So exactly what we want to talk. So we are going to talk about the structure of the kidney. So human excretory system, so it consists of a pair of kidneys, a pair of ureters, a urinary bladder and a urethra. So all these together makes up the urinary system, or you can say the excretory system. So how is the structure and how are they all co-integrated? So here we have the picture. So we have a pair of kidney here and here. Right? So you have a pair of ureter. So the first two parts are done. So we have a pair of kidney, pair of ureter. So then there is a urinary bladder. So urinary bladder is only one. It is not a pair. It is a bag-like structure. It is a sac-like structure. So we have a urinary bladder. And finally, it is the urethra which opens from the urinary bladder. So again, urethra is single. So only kidneys are paired and the ureters are paired. Urethra is coming after the urinary bladder. Fine? Okay. So these four things make up the human excretory system or the human urinary system. So now let's talk about the structure of the kidney first, because once you talk about the structure of the kidney, then ureter, urinary bladder is not much of importance. So we need to understand these two bean-shaped structures. So here we are going to talk about the structure of the kidney. Shall we go? Yeah. So we have a pair of kidney. So kidneys are located in the last thoracic vertebrae and they're attached to the abdominal wall cavity. So that is the location of the kidney. So the kidney are bean shaped like this and they are reddish brown in color. So you can say the length of the kidney is around 10 to 12 centimeter. So this is 4 to 5 centimeter. And the thickness is around 2 to 3 centimeter. So where it is located towards the last thoracic vertebrae. And it is attached to the lower abdominal wall cavity. Fine. So your kidney is covered by a tough capsule like this. So it's covered by an outer layer that is called as capsule. So on the concave side of the kidney, so if I say this is the structure of the kidney, so on the concave side of the kidney, I have a opening that is called as hilum. So hilum is the opening through which the blood, the nerves, so you can say the blood vessels, the nerves, the limbs, enter the kidney. If you see, this is the kidney, so this is the hilum. So this is the opening which the renal artery, the renal vein gets access into the kidney, right? So hilum is the opening through which the blood vessels, nerves and the limbs enter the kidney. So inner to the hilum, so you have funnel shaped structures like this. So that is called as the renal pelvis. So renal pelvis opens into projections like this, that is known as calyces. Clear? Yes. So kidney is bean shaped. So on the concave surface of the kidney, you have what is called as hilum. So hilum is the opening through which the blood vessels, the nerves and the limbs enter the kidney. Right? And inner to the hilum, you have funnel-shaped structures that is called as the renal pelvis. So renal pelvis has projections that is known as calyces. So this is the first part of the kidney. Clear? I hope it's clear. So now let's move further. Yeah. So your kidney is like this. So we agree it is covered like this and it has an opening like this. Right? And yeah, inner to this, we have the renal pelvis and the calyces like this. Fine. Now the inner surface itself of the kidney is divided into two regions. What are the two regions of the inner surface of the kidney? So the middle region of the kidney is known as the medulla and the periphery. So this periphery region is known as the cortex. So this periphery region is known as the cortex region. Fine? Yes. So this medulla opens into conical shaped structures, so which is known as the medullary pyramids. Fine. So then the cortex region, it runs around the medullary pyramid as renal columns, so which is known as the column of Butney. Fine. So the inner surface of the kidney is divided into middle portion and the periphery region. So the middle region is known as medulla. So the medulla opens into conical shaped structures, that is medullary pyramids. So medullary pyramids, they project through the calyxes. So they project through the calyces. Fine. So these are the calyxes. So which means I say the medullary pyramids are like this. So they project through the calyces. Now the cortex region, it runs around the medullary pyramids like this as renal columns, which is known as the columns of Butney. Done? So this is another half of the structure of kidney. So now what is the structural and functional unit of your kidney? Are your nephrons. So your nephrons are the structural and functional units of the kidney. So we are going to talk about the nephrons. So you have millions of nephrons in each of the bean-shaped structures. So they are the structural and functional unit. Fine. So this nephron has 3 parts with it. So mainly it is only 2 parts, not 3 parts. The first part is known as the Malpighian corpuscle. Malpighian or the renal corpuscle. And the next part are the renal tubules. So these are the 2 parts of the nephron. Fine. So now let's talk about the first one, that is the Malpighian or the renal complex. So I'm talking about this first. So you have a tuft of capillaries. So this is tuft of capillaries. So capillaries are smaller branches of your blood vessels, right? So I have a tuft of capillary, which means the network of capillaries. Calyxes means, please answer. Okay. So we know renal pelvis, right? So this funnel shaped structure is the renal pelvis. So the renal pelvis has projections. The lines that I have drawn, that is the medulla. Sorry, that is the calyx. So if you can see, okay, the structure of kidney is here. Fine. So it might not be clear in this. So do I have another picture? So let's see in the previous picture itself. So can you see structures like this on the medullary pyramids? Yes. So these structures are calyxes. They are projections from the medullary pyramids. Okay, Gautam? So these are the calyxes. Fine. So calyxes are projections of your renal pelvis, which also is present in the renal medulla, because the renal medulla is present in the pelvis region. Okay, fine. So I guess I have written here on top of the picture. Okay, let's continue here so that to avoid confusion. So we are talking about the structure of the nephron, right? So nephron has 2 parts. So one is the Malpighian corpuscle. So we have a tuft of capillaries here. Tuft is a network of capillaries. So the word tuft means network. So this tuft of capillaries is called as glomerulus. So this glomerulus is enclosed in a cup-shaped structure. So that is called as Bowman's capsule. So that is called as Bowman's capsule. So this glomerulus plus the Bowman's capsule is together known as the Malpighian corpuscle or the Malpighian tubule. Fine. So who isn't? It is a network of capillary. Who brings the blood inside the capillary matters. So who brings the blood inside the capillary? Who takes the blood out of the capillary? So what brings the blood inside the capillary are your afferent fibers. So this is afferent artery, you can say. So this is afferent artery and this is efferent fiber. Efferent artery. So this is what brings blood inside and this is what takes outside. This is the first half of the nephron. So now moving into the second half of the nephron. So now the Malpighian tubule is done. The next half is the renal tubule. So here I have a highly coiled structure. So this is known as the proximal convoluted tubule. So this is highly coiled. So this is proximal convoluted tubule. So this is PCT, right? Afferent atria, kahan se? No, not afferent atria. So it is afferent artery. So afferent artery comes from the heart. So the amount of blood that is pumped by the heart, 1/5 comes to the kidney. So afferent artery comes from the heart to the kidney. Okay, fine. So this is proximal convoluted tubule, which is highly coiled or convoluted. So this opens into an hair-shaped structure like this. So this is known as the loop of Henle. So let me write here, this is known as the loop of Henle. Fine. So this loop, so it comes down and it goes up like this. So since this is coming down, this side is known as the descending loop. So this side is known as the ascending loop. Fine. So here again I have another coil structure. So this is known as the distal convoluted tubule. So this is DCT. Fine. So this opens into the collecting duct. So this opens into the collecting duct. And the collecting duct opens into the renal pelvis region through the renal medulla. So this is the structure of your nephron. So the kidney has structural and functional units called the nephron, and this is the structure of your nephron. Your nephron has two parts. One is Malpighian tubule, the other one is the renal tubule. So all this comprises of the renal tubule. So the Malpighian tubule consists of Bowman's capsule and the glomerulus that is enclosed within the Bowman's capsule. The next one, the renal tubule, starts with PCT, loop of Henle, then you have DCT and the collecting duct. So this makes up the renal tubule. Fine. So this efferent artery, it forms the network of structure, it forms a network of capillary around this renal tubule. So this efferent artery, it forms a network of capillary around this renal tubule. So you have what is known as, which runs parallel to the loop of Henle, right? Like this. So the efferent artery, ma'am, in anatomy. Okay, so really, so why don't you ask them itself? Okay, so the efferent artery, so it forms a network of capillaries that is known as the peritubular capillaries. Fine. So this peritubular capillary forms a minute U-shaped vessel which is parallel to the loop of Henle. So this is known as vasa recta. So this peritubular capillary, it forms a tube which is parallel to the loop of Henle, that is known as vasa recta. So your vasa recta is parallel to your loop of Henle. Clear? So I guess there are no confusions still here. Yes? No doubt? So can I move forward? Fine. So now moving to the next half. So this is what I drew. So we have the Bowman's capsule. This is the Bowman's capsule. This is the glomerulus. So you have the efferent and the efferent arteriole. So this is PCT. So the yellow one is the loop of Henle, DCT, and the collecting duct. The one that runs parallel to it is the vasa recta. Fine. So the PCT, the loop of Henle, the DCT, and the collecting duct sometimes, okay. So the PCT, DCT, loop of Henle and the collecting duct, sometimes everything is present in the cortex region of the kidney. So if everything is present in the cortex region of the kidney, meaning if the loop of Henle is not long enough to extend into the medullary region of the kidney, then these nephrons are known as cortical nephrons. So we have majority of cortical nephrons. If loop of Henle is long, enough and it extends into the medullary region of the kidney, then it is known as the juxtamedullary nephrons. Fine. So, usually when your loop of Henle, your PCT, DCT and the collecting duct are present in the cortex region, so the nephron is known as cortical nephron. So, when the loop of Henle is long enough to extend into the medulla, then it is known as juxtamedullary nephron. Clear? Right? So, surprisingly, we are done with the structure of the kidney. So, did you understand? So, first you need to understand the medulla and the cortex region of the kidney and what are columns of Burtney. Then you need to talk about the structure of the nephron. So, what are the two parts of the nephron and what is cortical nephron, what is juxtamedullary nephron. Then you should also understand what are peritubular capillaries, right? So, is that clear? So, yeah, so we spoke about the nephron to give you an introduction. So, we spoke about the Malpighian tubules. So, which includes the glomerulus plus the Bowman's capsule, right? So, the next one, so we spoke about the renal tubule. So, the renal tubules consist of the PCT, the loop of Henle, the DCT, right? So, in certain cases, the loop of Henle as vasa recta, only in the case of juxtamedullary nephrons. So now, with the structure of the nephrons in the kidney done, so tomorrow we'll be talking about the mechanism of urine formation. So for that, you need to join me tomorrow at 5:15 to know how the urine formation is done. So before we talk about the urine formation, so we need to discuss a lot of pressures, a lot of other things before we talk about the mechanism of urine formation, which is 3 steps. So join me tomorrow at 5:15 p.m. to talk about the mechanism of urine formation. So until then, we are done with today's topic. So if you genuinely liked my way of teaching, so please do like, share and subscribe. And this is me wishing you more and more. So please stay connected and stay tuned. So have a great evening ahead and bye and stay tuned. Bye.